In today's video, we will dive deep into self-help listening part 6. Today, we are doing something very different. This video is not the usual tips or tricks. This is a Think Aloud masterclass where I literally show you how my brain processes self-help part 6 in real time. Because part 6 is not about basic listening, it's about interpreting the tone, reading between the lines, tracking two or three opinions at the same time without getting confused. So, in this lesson, you are not just going to learn the strategy, you are going to hear the strategy as it happens inside the mind of a high scoring self test taker. Let's jump in. So, what exactly makes part 6 difficult? Part 6 is called listening to viewpoints because you hear one speaker talking about multiple perspectives using complex reasoning with attitude, tone, evaluation, and judgment. So, this is the section where CELPIP says, all right, now let's check if you really understand English, not just words. Most students struggle because they listen to the content, but part 6 is tested using meaning behind the content. So here's the new mindset. Don't listen for what they say. You have to listen for how and why they say it. Okay? Let me reveal the think aloud framework to you. When the audio starts, your brain must follow a four-layer process. I call this the four filters of viewpoint listening. The first filter is the surface. What is the topic? What issue are they talking about? So don't analyze yet, just anchor yourself. And the next one is filter 2, the viewpoints, opinions. What opinions are being presented? Which side do they agree with? Which side do they critique? So this is the heart of part 6. Remember that. And filter 3, reasoning pattern. How do they justify the viewpoint now? You listen for patterns like evidence, examples, comparisons, criticism, warnings, recommendations. So these patterns reveal the correct answers. And filter 4, the speaker's tone. What attitude do they show? Some people love tone words like skeptical, doubtful, concerned, enthusiastic, cautious, unconvinced, optimistic. If you miss tone, you miss questions. Okay? When the audio begins, you have to talk to yourself silently like this. Okay, topic detected. Two viewpoints. I hear one being described positively, then so and so. A tone shift happened here. This example is strengthening the speaker's evaluation. So this active internal dialogues, it forces your brain to stay ahead of the speaker. If you don't do this, you will only receive English. But CELPIP wants you to interpret English. Got it? Let's listen to the audio now.
Recently, a debate has been growing around whether cities should convert unused office buildings into affordable housing units. Supporters argue that it's a practical solution to two problems, empty spaces and rising rent. But critics say the idea is far more complicated. For example, some architects claim that office buildings often lack proper ventilation and natural light for residential living, making conversions expensive. Economists, however, disagree, saying that subsidies could offset the cost and would still be cheaper than new construction. Personally, I think both sides are correct in different ways. Conversions can help reduce housing shortages, but only if cities enforce strict safety standards. Rushing the process could create poor living conditions, which we've already seen in a few pilot projects. So while I support the idea overall, I believe cities need to be cautious. Thoughtful planning should come before rapid construction.
Okay, now let me tell you how my mind processes the audio. So when I'm listening to the audio, I'll tell to myself, okay, topic identified, which is converting office buildings into housing. Next, I heard two viewpoints. One is supporters and critics. Let me mentally label them yes and no. And supporters say practical solution. Critics says complicated. Okay, contrast detected, right? An architect's argument, technical problem, ventilation plus natural light. Economists said like financial solution, subsidies will reduce cost. Aha, so this section shows conflict of professional opinions. Now, the speaker's own viewpoint that is very important. She said both sides are partly right. That means balance, not extreme. Tone detected, cautious, support, not full enthusiasm. And final line confirms it supports the idea but warns people about poor planning. Great, the structure is logged in. Got it? So let's move on to the questions here. So here is the first question. What is the speaker's overall attitude toward the proposal? Strongly supportive and optimistic, supportive but careful, completely opposed, neutral, and uninterested. Let's reveal the answer for you. The correct option is option B. If you listen, she said, I support the idea overall, but cities need to be cautious, right? So this is clear support plus caution, not fully enthusiastic. So A is wrong. Got it? And not opposed also. So C is also wrong. And not neutral also. D is also wrong. So the correct option is B, supportive but careful. And let's move on to the second question. Which group expresses concern about the design of office buildings? Economists, city planners, architects, and tenants. And the correct option here is option C. Architects mentioned the ventilation plus natural light problems. If you remember, that was mentioned, right? So no one else discusses this. And the question three, what does the speaker imply about the pilot projects? Option A, they succeeded but were expensive. They failed to meet proper standards. They proved conversions or quick and safe. They were cancelled due to public protest. And the right option is option B. They failed to meet proper standards because she said poor living condition. We have already seen in a few pilot projects, right? So that means they failed it. Now, the question four, which of the following best describes the contrast between the two groups of experts mentioned? Economists focus on financial viability, architects focus on structural limitations. Option B, architects support conversions fully, but economists do not. Option C, city administrators argue with both groups on feasibility. Option D, tenants agree with architects about building safety. And here the correct option is option A. This is the exact pattern in the audio. So economist equals to cost, architects equals to structure or safety. That's how we have structured, right, while listening to the audio. So option A is the correct one. And the fifth question, what condition does the speaker believe is necessary for the proposal to be successful? Rapid construction, government taking full control, strict safety standards, eliminating subsidies. And the right option here is option C, strict safety standards. Conversions can help. That's what she mentioned, but only if cities enforce strict safety standards. It's very direct and clear. Okay? So before we finish, let me give you the golden summary. Viewpoint listening is not about content, it's about intention. That's why your new Think Aloud framework is powerful. Identify the topic, separate the viewpoints, decode the reasoning, read the tone. If you apply this, self part 6 becomes not just manageable, it becomes predictable. And that brings us to the end of this Think Aloud Masterclass for Self-Help Listening Part 6. That's all for today's video. Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more self-help tips. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.